Good morning. Welcome to In the Kitchen with Randy. Today we're going to make a little bit of a special waffle. So a little while back I had a couple apples that looked like they were going to go bad on me, so rather than let them go bad I went ahead and peeled them and put a little bit of lemon juice on them and I froze them. So when they come out you can see they've lost their texture. There's not much to theirs with texture, but that's okay. We're going to use them today. So let's get started. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add our apples in there. To that, that's 2 apples by the way, we're going to add a couple tablespoons of sugar. Then we're going to add in just about a teaspoon of cornstarch. And what I want to do with that is I want to thicken this up just a little bit. Because when we put it in the waffle, we don't want it to be runny, we want it to be kind of solid. And you'll notice that it's not going to get thickened until it comes up to a boil, because starches really activate when they come up to a boil. And once they've reached that boil, that's as much as they're going to thicken or activate. So now this is up to a boil. You can see it's thickening up quite a bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to add in about 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Now we have a beautiful, beautiful apple filling that we're going to use in our waffle. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to set that aside. We're going to let it cool down a little bit before we add it into our waffle mix. We're getting ready to make our waffle batter now. We're going to start with a half a cup of that beautiful apple puree that we made a little bit ago. It's got a little bit of sugar and some cinnamon in it. So we're going to add that into our bowl. We're going to take 1 egg and add 1 egg in. We have 3/4 cup of milk. And we have 1 tablespoon of melted bacon grease. When I make bacon, I always save the grease. Something my mother taught me to do, and it adds a lot of great flavor to food. So I'm going to add in a tablespoon of bacon grease. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to mix that up. Okay. And to that, we're going to add 1 cup of pancake mix. Now this particular mix is the one that I make. You'll find the recipe in the description part of this video. And I like to make sure that everything is blended well. Basically all the lumps are gone. And that takes around 30 seconds to a minute. Alright. So let's go ahead and we're going to make our waffles. So we're going to take our waffle iron. Now mine happens to be about a 6-inch across the iron. Yours may be different. Yours may be round, it may be square, it may be something else. So the amount of batter is going to depend upon your waffle iron. This one here, usually about 1/3 of a cup, does a pretty good job. Actually, let's make that about 1/2 a cup. Now we just have to wait. Alright, there's our first waffle. You can't tell it from looking at it, but that thing is extremely light and looks beautiful. Just absolutely fantastic. So let's go ahead and just keep making waffles. Now what I do when these come out, I like to put a little pat of butter on them. And then I put them in the oven to keep them warm. So let's go ahead and get us another one. So we're going to use about 1/2 a cup. This waffle iron is about a 7-inch waffle iron. So we're going to use 1/2 a cup on it. Alright, one thing to remember when you're making waffles, pancakes, things like that, as soon as you add the moisture to the dry ingredients, the wet ingredients go into the dry ingredients, you want to make sure to act quickly. from that point on, because what's happening is that the baking powder that is in the mix begins to activate, because it's double acting baking powder. So it activates once when it gets wet, activates twice when it gets hot. So if we can capture some of that activation from the wet and we add it to the hot, we get a really nice and light finished product. Well, what do you think? Stuck to the top. That's a beautifully light, wonderful waffle. And we'll finish up the rest of the breakfast and we'll put a plate together and then we'll eat.